Good morning. How was that for a grand entrance, Malcolm?
It was a bit. It's like that THX sound, you know, the ones that go.
Oh yeah, the cinemas.
Mm-hmm. Woke me up. Hello, mate.
You had a good morning.
Yeah, I have. Yes, yeah, I have. I had a busy day yesterday, so I'm just kind of getting over that. But yeah, I had a good morning. Thank you very much. Looking forward to talking to you.
Oh, always look forward to talking to you, mate. You know that. Yeah. So
what's been going on? What's news?
Well, Steph had his live this morning where he was working on a zero.
Oh, good. How does that go? Didn't see that.
I think he'll probably tell you in the comments at some point. But yeah, he went well. He's done well. He's got quite far with it now.
Cool. Are you going to be at Scale Model World?
I am. Me and the wife have booked a hotel for the weekend.
Oh, good. So we're planning on having a big row of those zeros, 1/18 scale zeros at Scale Model World on the Model Spheres table, which is going to be heavy. But I don't think anyone would ever have seen that many 1/18 scale of anything in a row.
With the weight of them, is it going to be worth putting some breeze blocks under the table or something?
I've been told that the weight won't be a problem. The show manager, Richard Middleton, has physically weighed one, with his hands, and he went, "Oh, that'll be right."
Yeah. He does realize how heavy these things are, right?
He does. No, he lifted it up and he went, "Yeah, that's heavy, but yeah, it'll be fine."
That'll do.
And it'll be 2.5 to a table.
Yeah.
And we've got 4 tables, so we reckon we can fit about 9, maybe 10, depending on if they've all got the bases on or something.
Yeah.
It's going to be great. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Lots of photographs of zeros coming out of Telford, I hope.
Yeah. That should be good. It'd be good to see them on the Models Heroes page as well.
Yes. Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
Yeah. So, welcome to Bearded Veteran Creates. Put my teeth back in. Welcome to Bearded Veteran Creates, Malcolm. I don't think you've been on it before.
I don't think I have.
No.
Which is weird. Yeah, I've been talking to you for a couple of years, on and off here and there in different platforms, and we play D&D together, and yeah, I'm on your Discord, and I watch your show when I can, as I do with everyone's YouTube channels. If I've got some time that I can just listen to a YouTube video, I'll pop one of yours on, or anyone's. But yeah.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions and things and talk through a bit about you, a bit about the history behind Models Heroes and what you do as an organization.
Yeah.
Then we'll go on to if you've got any questions for me, some audience questions, and then maybe do a bit of modeling if you've got time.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've got a few hours plus all decked aside just for you. So. And your listeners.
Oh yeah, there's 20 of them so far.
Oh, at least 20. Crikey.
Yeah. Let's just hope they all stay here. And like the channel and video.
One of them's my mum, no doubt.
I think one of them is probably my wife, although she's in the kitchen at a minute because I can hear her popping around in the kitchen.
That's good to have some support to that.
Yeah. Well, you'll get to meet her at Telford as well.
Yeah, that'd be great. Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait at all.
She's looking forward to meeting all you lot.
Yeah. Well, we'll change that pretty quickly, won't we?
She's I was writing the questions the other night, and she said, "Who are the questions for?" And I said, "Malcolm." She went, "Which one's Malcolm?" And I went, "When you go to Telford, you can't miss him. He's the only one you can see standing above everyone else." And she went, "Oh, that one."
The little one.
Yeah.
We have 2 Malcolms in Models for Heroes in the directors and the committee meetings, and I'm referred as Big Malk, and he's referred to as what you think would be Little Malk, but I refer to him as Ugly Malk because I'm much better looking than he is.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So we had to say stuff about Models Heroes, obviously, but
Mhm.
I'll know a little bit about you first, if that's all right.
Yeah.
So tell me about young Malcolm. Where did he grow up? What sort of interest did he have?
Model making from early age. Honestly, I would spend pocket money on Airfix kits and things like that, and then I asked for my birthday. I would, model making was my thing. I wasn't much of an outdoorsy boy, and my dad was a railway enthusiast, so we would always be the house would always be full of models, bits and pieces and that. But he was a kind of railway enthusiast who liked the idea of making models, but never really made much. But he liked to have all the gear to do so. I bet he was quite happy to encourage me with my interests. So I was always building aircraft and stuff. Because we went to a lot of air shows when we were younger. So it was nice to build the aircraft that you saw flying about. But yeah, that's pretty much what I was doing when I was young.
Do you remember how old you were when you first made a model kit?
No, I don't know. I remember being, I think, 7. And I had a Westland Whirlwind Matchbox kit, I think it was. And then I remember being, I think I was 10 when I had a F-14 Tomcat, like a big Revel one. And I painted it bright, shiny gloss blue, and it was awful. I don't know why I painted it that. I think I wanted to make it into one of those Blue Angels. You know, the American aerobatics team?
Yeah.
But I had the wrong aircraft. So I still painted it shiny blue, and it was awful and terrible. But I remember that. It's
the joy of being a kid, and it doesn't matter if it's the wrong aircraft. It's what's in your imagination.
I suppose so. Yes. But I do remember it. I remember it because it was awful, not because it was good.
Did you have any help with your first models?
Yeah, I would. So my dad's friend, my neighbor, he would come over and he'd be interested in models, and I said my dad as well. I grew up with my sister, and she was not interested whatsoever. So. But I've always been a big fan of small things and building small things and focusing on little things. The same with figure painting as well. It's not just scale modeling; it's making little things.
Little nerdy things.
Little nerdy things. Yeah. Oh, that nerdy! It's very cool. Super cool.
Of course it is. What sort of kits did you tend to gravitate towards when you were younger?
Aircraft. Yeah, aircraft and small ones, because 1, they don't take much space up, and 2, they don't cost much comparatively. So 1/72nd aircraft usually. Stuff that I would see at air shows with my old man. I remember watching 2 Lightnings take off at the very end of an air show, and was standing there at the runway, and there's 2 Lightnings went by, and I thought I was going to die because the amount of noise. And they take off, and then they just disappear into the clouds. Like, I've never seen an aircraft just go, and then all you can see is little afterburners disappear, and that's it. At the end of the show, you can go home now. And I just left kind of like, well, I've never seen anything as cool as that. And of course, then I had to go and build a Lightning and hang it on my ceiling so I can remember that well until I'm 48 now. So I remembered it for a long time.
I think that's one of my memories. First memories of, especially of jets when I was a kid, was going to Llandudno air show and seeing the tornado flying along the beach and then going vertical, and just the immense roar of the engines.
Yeah. There's someone in that, right?
Yeah.
Someone in there.
They're surviving this.
I know. It's amazing, isn't it? It really is. The amount of power that these things have got.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a kid, you didn't see anything like that before. So it's very cool. But interesting. I didn't really see any tanks at all. So I'm not very interested in armor until later. But yeah, aircraft is definitely the thing. And also I was kind of into Warhammer and fantasy stuff, and like any proper nerd is. I was into Epic, Warhammer Epic. I was in an RAF Brampton wargaming club for quite a few many years. We played what was called Epic in those days. Yeah, it was good fun.
Cool. I know back in January you finished a really nice diorama of the 747 carrying the space shuttle.
Yeah, I did.
If I remember correctly, your dad gave you it, and you based it on a day out where he took you to see the real thing in 1983.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think those kind of childhood days out were something that fueled your passion for scale modeling over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, at the air shows, definitely. I mean, even now, So I built that. I built that this year, didn't I? At the beginning of the year. And yeah, it's just a very strong memory that I have. And it's nice to explore that memory by building a model of it.
Yeah.
Right. That's a shame I don't have a picture of it ready, but I remember being in the crowd and watching this 747 carrying the shuttle taxiing in. I remember it being really loud. I remember it was a really hot day and we were there for a long time. We practically got there like the first people there, thinking we'd be at the front, but because we were the first people there, we were the first home. But that was good. Yeah, it was just incredible. It's amazing. You don't get to see space shuttles with your own eyes if you live in England. It doesn't happen. And this was like a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity, so it was really exciting for everybody.
Yeah.
And that was back in the 80s.
Yeah, 83.
83. So looking at the photographs that my dad took and the photographs in the press at the time, the clothing choices were fantastic.
They're very bright, weren't they?
Yeah. Nobody had a mobile phone, obviously. No, hardly anyone had a camera, and if they did have a camera, it was huge.
Yeah.
Or
one of those little film point and shoots.
Well, I mean, they were really expensive as well, if I remember rightly. Those days, 35mm film was expensive, and so was getting it developed. You had to go into a shop to go and get it developed, didn't you? But yeah, I remember I didn't have a camera at the time. But it's funny, if you did have a camera, you had all the camera, you had all the lenses, you had a tripod, you basically carried a small child around with you all the time.
Well, I do that now when I go out with my camera.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, but I mean, in them days, nowadays everyone's got a camera in their pocket, aren't they? Snap away. But yeah, it was nice to explore that memory with that model in that scale.
Yeah. So were they sort of something your family enjoyed going to do those sorts of day outs, or was it sort of a passion for you and your dad, and your mum and sister just got roped into it, sort of thing?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think my mum and my sister would have been dragged along. There's a photograph of my sister in the car park. She don't look happy. Don't look happy. Well, what's funny about it is that photograph is that she's standing there. She's probably 2. You can see her nappy. She's just kind of really grumpy. And she's out of focus. She's in the foreground. She's out of focus. But the space shuttle behind her is perfectly in focus. It's great
priorities.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, I think they were dragged along. But I was probably dragged along to things that I didn't want to go to too. So it was nice to go to things that were nerdy for me and my dad to go and enjoy. Yeah.
So moving on a few years now, just prior to March 2017, what was life like at the time? How did a typical day in the life of Malcom go?
So I was stay-at-home dad. All right. So my daughter, first daughter, was born in 2010, and then me and the wife decided that I wasn't earning as much money, or at least as much money regularly as she was, because she had a permanent job and I was just freelance. So I decided to be the stay-at-home dad, and she would carry on with her career. And that worked out great. Really, really good. My modeling took a hit in terms of what I was able to do and what was able to leave out with the child. But yeah, I was stay-at-home dad for 5 years, and then we had another child as well. So I continued to be a stay-at-home dad. We timed it just rightly. But once my youngest went to school, then I was like, well, I need to go and get a job now. I need to go and do something. So I started volunteering at Help for Heroes. Yeah, that was beginning of 2017, I think. Probably.
It was March 2017, according to my research.
Good Lord.
So that comes around, and it must have seemed like a pretty insignificant decision in terms of life choices to volunteer, go and do some volunteer work.
Yeah, it did. It just felt like the thing that you do.
Yeah.
Right. If you want to fill in your gaps of your CV and have a conversation with an employer, they're going to say, right, what did you do between March 2017 and this time? And I wanted to fill it with something, or a story or something. So I thought, well, there's a recovery center. There was a recovery center near my house ish. It's about half an hour's drive away, and they're always looking for volunteers, and I think I had it in my back of my mind that I'd do it, one day if I had the time, and etc. And I just phoned them up and said, "Can I volunteer?" And they said, "Sure. What can you do?" And apart from look after children, which is something I didn't want to do anyway as a career, I just told them all the things that I did, and model making was one of the activities that they ran down there, and so I just started doing that basically. But yeah, it was pretty insignificant at the time because it was just something to fill in the time.
Yeah,
right. That was what it was. I'll give something back as well. But it was mostly selfish. So I wanted to do something in that time and have something to show for it. So so I'm still doing stuff like that. I got quite a big chunk of CV now. Is actually quite significant.
So how did you go from that, like we said, a seemingly insignificant decision where you just wanted to fill your CV to thinking, hang on, I can use this for good? What happened there?
Use it for good. Yeah, well, so my first day, let's say, helping out the model making activity was interesting in that being a model maker, as you and I will know, and many of your listeners, you need certain tools and certain things, and you need things to work completely correctly. Otherwise, it's very difficult to do what you're doing. And the better tools you have, and the more experience you have, the better you can do. The better the kits you have, the better job you can make. All that sort of thing, right? They had in their box of models, their cupboard of models. All the models in there were started kits, right?
Yeah.
They'd open a box, and in there would be bits, and there would be bits of paint, and there also some parts would be glued together. It might not have the instructions anymore. So that was all of the model kits they had in there. Their paints were non-existent. I think about 3 or 4 paints, and they all dried up. They had enamel thinners and acrylic paints. All their paintbrushes look like they come from Mary Poppins, like chimney sweep things. And there's no way nobody could ever start and enjoy a hobby when the resources were not up to scratch, right? Yeah. So you need to have someone say, right, this is your model kit. This is yours. You get to build it from beginning to end. These are your instructions. These are some nice tools that do the job, and someone to show you how to do it. Because that's the other thing, is they didn't have anyone there who knew what they were doing in terms of model making, how the glue works, and, how to follow the instructions, and the parts have got numbers and all those kind of things. They don't really tell you on the boxes. But they obviously knew that there was something in it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have offered the activity.
Yeah.
They did other things like bookbinding, but they'd have someone coming in to tell them how to do it. They'd have art, and they had a resident artist in there. So my kind of idea was like pitch to them to say, look, I'll come in very regularly and run a modeling session regularly, and I'll run a modeling club, and we'll do the rolling recovery program activities. We can offer modeling as well. And that's where it started. Yeah.
So I know from looking into the Models Heroes history and things, it is Models Heroes part of it came about very, very quickly after that, didn't it?
Yeah, it was pretty quick. So we had a lot of sessions were really deep, let's say, right? So a lot of the veterans there were opening up more than in other activities. They were talking about their experiences. They're talking about the vehicles they liked. They're talking about the tanks they worked on, in service, where they hadn't really opened up at the place much or connected with anything other than the model making. The model making was quite powerful.
Yeah.
And because of that, it was, the occupational therapists there noticed this and kind of pushed it. So we did more model making. And of course, I brought all my models from home, not all of them, but I brought a significant stash of models from my own home and my paints and stuff like that, and build their stock up of stuff.
Yeah.
It was really good. It grew very quickly. The reason it grew, I think, is just because of the success of people enjoying it and getting more out of their day, but also the news spread to other recovery centres as well, and so they all wanted to have model making too.
So in quite a short space of time, you've gone from being a house husband to pretty much running a CIC with its own charitable constitution.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, so it was very quick and a very steep learning curve. There's people out there who say, "Oh, there's loads of help for CICs and people to set up charities." It really isn't. When it really comes down to it, you just have to do a lot of research and work a lot of things out. Try not to make any mistakes. Because the funding that we're getting in and the donations that we get in and the kits and the amount of money everything costs, and the money that we get in, we have to have some sort of governance to govern all that. All I want to do is give some people some fun model kits to make. That's all I want to do. And I end up being, I have to work out PLI. I have to start doing, all sorts of different DBS checks and things like that. It becomes a bit of a drag when you get bigger. But in a very short space of time, we grew pretty quickly. So since 2017, by the end of that, I think we had about 3 different sessions at different places, and they were basically my mates were going along and running those sessions because I couldn't get to them.
Yeah, it's a big change for not just you as well, but also your family. Was there any point in like that 12-month period where you thought, "Am I making the right decision? Am I going to mess things up at home or something?" With the stress and things.
Because it was working so well, I didn't feel like it would be. I felt it was really important to push it from a home perspective, and I was really dedicated to getting it to work for others, and I was prepared to take my family through that sacrifice. I mean, I get a lot out of it too. It's incredibly fulfilling to help people. Excuse me. It's incredibly fulfilling to help others, and it gives you that kind of warm, fuzzy glow. It really does, and I got a lot from that. So when I was saying, well, it didn't really affect my family that much. I mean, they had lots of boxes and stuff like that around in their corridor. My youngest has grown up with the corridor in our house being full of model kit boxes. The garage used to be full of them. The packing area used to be the back of the settee. So they just roll with it. I'm very lucky that they've don't push back.
Yeah,
and the wife obviously helps me, so she must enjoy it as well.
With all this moving so fast and obviously growing so fast, how did the branding and the aims of M4H come about?
How the aims and the
branding?
Branding. Oh, okay.
It's
Right.
an unusual logo, isn't it?
It is. So when I was coming up with a logo, I was reading all these things about what branding is and what you need it to do and all that sort of thing. And what branding tries to do is just to give you reassurance. So if you see an image or a logo or a brand name, you associate that with an experience. And if you keep on seeing that brand and you keep on having a good experience, eventually you'll just go, oh, it's Models for Heroes, everything's fine. Yeah. Right? And that's kind of what I'm trying to do. So just with the heart, what did I do? Well, I stole it from someone. Who did I steal it with? Here's a revelation for you. The Benevolent Fund, RAF Benevolent Fund, have a roundel, and then in the middle is a heart.
Yeah.
Right? I designed a different heart. So it was a different heart. I designed that from scratch, but I used the same red. And I discovered it was actually just Union flag red. So just, regular red. And so I used the heart that I designed, and then I just cut it in half and put it in a sprue, as if you were gonna, by making the model and putting it together, it gives you some compassion and an emotional connection, of love. And that's what a heart represents, isn't it? Caring and looking after somebody. And that's the idea, is that by model making, you're making that. Right? Yeah. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So we did that. The Models for Heroes name, we couldn't think of anything else at the time. I'd spoken to the head of communication at Help Heroes and said, is it all right if I use 4 heroes to set up this thing? And they were like, yeah, of course, it's fine, just go for it.
Yeah.
So that was good. So I had an informal thumbs up, and then we just used that logo everywhere all the time, and it hasn't changed in 7 years. Occasionally I get brave and I put a drop shadow on it, or a bevel, or emboss it or something to give it a little bit of shimmy, but it's stayed the same all that time, and I even got it registered as well, so no one can use it without permission, or shouldn't use it without permission.
My favorite one is the May the 4th heart part logo.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah, that was this year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Falcon. Yes, Millennium Falcon one, that was good, quite fun. I made sure it was as generic as possible, so obviously it was the Millennium Falcon, but it wasn't the Millennium Falcon, just to make sure. And we only used it briefly on the website, I think. We didn't make any merchandise or anything like that at all. We didn't raise any funds. It was just a kind of a cheeky nod.
Yeah.
To how much we all like Star Wars. Yeah.
How did you come about the aims, and what are they?
Oh yeah. So the aims, I've got them written up here because they are very specific, and I can't always remember them word for word. You probably got them in front of you, I expect.
I haven't.
No. So when you come up with a charity, idea, the charity's commission, which we are not a registered charity, we are a CIC, which is a community interest company. But when you come up with any idea for a charity, you have to have aims, and your mission needs to be written down, and that's what you have to do and stick by. So all the funds you get in are in pursuit of those specific aims, and so you write a sentence that fits them. So our aims, as written in our constitution, is to support former and current armed forces and emergency service personnel within the UK and overseas territories. Okay. And our second aim is to promote the use of model making as a therapeutic, meaningful activity. Okay. So it has to be within that bracket, and it means that some people, unfortunately, aren't on that list. So like general NHS workers, not on that list, for example. Prison officers, not on that list. cadets. You know, they're not on that list either. So quite often we'll get people requesting support from us, but they're not in our remit, so we can't. We have to focus on what we do. But that came about from, everything that we were doing previously, and really boiling down what we were doing, and then that's where the aims came from. Yeah.
So speeding forward now to 2020, 3 years ago to the month after you made that life-changing decision, the world comes to a grinding halt and the country goes into its first lockdown.
Yeah.
As events unfolded, how did it impact M4H?
It was huge because we couldn't do anything anymore. What we had at the time, I think we had 40, or so face-to-face sessions, and the brakes were slammed on. None of us could go out. None of the veterans that we had attending these sessions could attend. Volunteers couldn't go out. No one really knew what we were doing because there was very little information at the time. So I mean, it was a mess, absolute mess, because all of our stock and stuff were in the buildings of a lot of organizations, because they were storing it for us, but because they were now shut, we couldn't access those. It was unsure whether volunteers were allowed to get in their car and go and get those things and come back, because they were volunteering. So you were allowed to drive your car if you were volunteering. But I mean, I could get around anything by saying I'm just volunteering, didn't I? I'm volunteering to go out and get drunk. So, it was a bit flim flam. It wasn't exactly sure what we were supposed to do. No one wanted to do the wrong thing and make things worse, obviously. So what we did is we just kind of said, okay, well, what can we do? And we just had to change direction from our face-to-face stuff to online, because everybody, most people had the internet at home, and that is how we could provide some sort of support through that way. So we started doing YouTube videos like this. We started doing Zoom sessions for beneficiaries, and we just pushed ourselves online, basically. Other people in the modeling community were doing online things too, and so we kind of just copied them and all did it together. I tried to make a calendar so you could almost watch modeling shows from morning till night, live ones. All sorts of different people were doing these sort of live shows. So I think that gave people something to focus on, because they couldn't go out, and somewhere they could talk about how they were feeling and how crappy the situation was at the time. But that was really successful. We were still able to send stuff out. The parcel force was still working. So we became very busy with online stuff. It was great, actually, in terms of that. Once we had pivoted and worked out what we were going to do, it's actually really successful.
Yeah, excellent. So less than a year after that, you got a nice little surprise from a fairly well-known person from the UK, didn't you? Quite a big surprise from a certain person that lives in a certain or lived in a certain street at the time.
Oh, Boris Johnson. Yeah. So I assume that's what you're talking about. I received a Points of Light award from number 10 Down Street, which at the time was Boris Johnson was in that office, so he was the one that signed the certificate, what we call it, which is nice, of course. It's now hung in pride of place in my bathroom, up on the wall. And that was cool, because that opened a lot of doors. So local press suddenly going, oh, we want to run a story on the Points of Light that you won, which is basically like recognition of voluntary service, I think. I think, yes. so yeah, the national press wanted to get in on it, and so they ran an article. They came over the house, took photographs and stuff, and then when that went out, then the TV people got in touch and said they wanted to do an interview. So we did an interview for I don't know, your local news channels, yeah. Can't remember what ours is now, but BBC Southeast or whatever. So I did an interview that, and then of course, the word got out more and more, and we ended up being filmed and interviewed for lots of different things, which then of course made us even more busy. Which is fine. But that's when we started to do or request grants and things to help us out. Because we just weren't able to keep up with the amount of people who were coming in and asking, and we didn't have enough space in the house, and it was madness. It was good fun though.
So that led to and the first major change really for Models for Heroes, didn't it? With getting the first premises.
Yes, so we had a grant from the Armed Forces Covenant Fund Trust, which is £32,000, I think it was at the time, and that enabled us to move to a premises, so rent somewhere other than my garage. And I chose somewhere very, very close, which is Greenham Business Park, which is the old RF Greenham. We had a premises, and suddenly we had loads of space, and I could ask a volunteer to come in and help me because we had enough space in there. We had a mezzanine so we could store things, and I had the dream that everything would go out of my garage and it would be great. There's still stuff in my garage now. But, that was great because then we had a premises, and then we also had the money to pay for the internet and water and all that sort of thing. But we had the money to be able to run Zoom sessions and get the Zoom licenses so that volunteers could run their own Zoom sessions. And so what we do is we have a Zoom session every single day. And we've had that since the beginning of COVID. And each volunteer who runs those Zoom sessions is their own little house. It's their own little studio. So they could have a session on model making for commercial aircraft, for instance. Not that you can't go there and talk about anything you want, but it's just that if you happened to be building a jumbo jet, then you could go there and he would give you loads of cool advice about building those things. And we have different volunteers doing different things like armor and like general modeling. And there's a ladies' night which we have on Tuesday nights. And they're all slightly different, run by different volunteers, and that's been really, really good. Especially when people get their model box of models first, and they don't really know what they're doing with them. They can hop on Zoom and have a chat with someone who does know what they're doing and get the guidance and kind of pointers through that. Yeah. What was the question?
So now we're coming to the end of 2024, and Models for Heroes has had to move to an even bigger headquarters again. What are the stats looking like now, roughly, in terms of beneficiaries, face-to-face sessions, and volunteer numbers?
Okay, so 198 volunteers. 11,240 kits sent out.
Wow.
Since 2017. In terms of actual beneficiaries, I think it's 800. I haven't got the stats in front of me, but it's 800 or so. You probably know better than I do. Looking at our, we have impact reports on our website, and that's from last year's financial report when we do all the collation and stuff like that. But, it's a lot of beneficiaries, 800 plus. And that doesn't count the face-to-face sessions. So if someone goes along to one of those, they're not counted on the list, basically because of privacy and GDPR, we don't record them, but it's 190 volunteers, it's 60 face-to-face sessions, and most of those are run by us in organizations, or a community center or a library, and I think there's about 20 different organizations that have model making that we support.
Yeah.
With resources, but we don't actually have a volunteer going along because they have a staff member who likes to do it. So,
yeah.
That includes armed forces organizations, that includes hospitals, that includes prisons as well, HMP, all sorts of different places, hubs, other small charities for veterans as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bigger premise is obviously is certainly helped us recently as we've got even bigger.
Yeah. For those that haven't seen the bigger premises, if you go onto the Friends of Models for Heroes YouTube channel, Malcolm's done a tour video on there, so you can have a look around it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
with your crazy hairstyle at the time.
Oh yeah, I know. I've got time to mess around with things like hair. Got that. Yeah, it's worth watching. It's a really cool place.
Yeah. So speaking of beneficiaries, we've already discussed who's eligible, but how do they get themselves referred to Models for Heroes?
There's two pathways. Well, there's kind of three actually. So the easiest one is just to get onto the Modelers Mess, which is a Facebook page that we have. It's a Facebook group, and it's private and hidden. And it's a place where it's kind of run by volunteers, and it's a safe, quiet, non-political, non-religious group. We try and talk about model making only in there, but you can get an invite as a veteran, or if you're a part of our remit, you can get invited. Just chuck me an email. I'm sure you put the email address at the bottom of the page somewhere.
Yeah, it's scrolling across.
Yeah, chuck us an email and ask for an invite to the group. As long as you're within our remit, then you can get in, and then from there on, you can decide whether you want to be a beneficiary or not. So the other way is to get self-referred. Just to self-refer yourself. You can go to Walking with the Wounded, and they will provide you with a referral to Models for Heroes. You just have to sign up. All the details are under Get Support on our website. You go to Get Support. Is it for you, for your client, or whatever? And you go on there, and there's a link on there for Walking with the Wounded. Or if you're under, if you're with a support worker and they're looking after you for whatever reason, and you're obviously within our remit, they can refer you. We have a link again on the website under Get Support that your referrer can go to, and that could be a key worker, somebody who comes around just to make sure you're okay. It could be a therapist, it could be a GP, as long as they're a professional that is has a professional concern for your well-being and thinks that model making will help you. You can get a referral. Try and leave it as open, as easy as possible. Obviously we have to keep records and all that sort of thing because of the finances and where the money goes, and we have to be accountable. So that's why we have to be sure we just don't send it out to anyone. But that's how it works. So hit the website, get support. If you can't find it on there, then just pop us an email, and I will answer it at some point when I get around to it. So
once you've had the referral, what happens from there, and what the costs involved for M4H?
Okay, so the referrals come to a spreadsheet. I love spreadsheets now. I have to do a lot of spreadsheet learning. It goes onto a spreadsheet, and then it might be along with 10, 20 other beneficiaries that have also referred themselves, or we've got referrals for that week. We usually do about 20 a week ish, which is a lot. But so you'll be on that list. Sometimes if we've got volunteers available, then you might be waiting a couple of weeks. If we haven't got volunteers available, you might be waiting up to 2 months for us to get to your name, and then call you up, have a chat. So that's what we try and do. Is we'll call you up, we'll have a chat about what is your interest and what sort of things you like to build or might like to build. Sometimes people have no idea. It's like, I don't know, send me anything. And if they say send us anything, that's very dangerous. Because we literally could send you all sorts of weird stuff. Swedish submarines, all sorts of weird, wonderful stuff. So beware. But we try and get an interest. We try and get a hook. Because if somebody's got to sit down and build something, you want to build something you're interested in. Yeah. So maybe something you worked on, maybe your grandfather flew or worked on, or that you saw at an air show, or a game that you've always wanted to play, or a film that you love, or even something like for your kids. If your kids like something, build it for them. Then we try and find something that somebody would like, and then invariably we've got something that would work on our shelves, because we've got a lot of model kits in store. And that could be up to like 20 kits. That could be 5 kits. It all depends on what's requested. I know that you spoke to somebody, didn't you? When you get referred, or did you self-refer?
A local organisation referred me, and
right. Okay.
And then Chris rang me up, and I told him that I like World War One stuff, so I got a huge box of World War One kits.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the thing. You need to give us a specific request. Excuse me, a specific request, and then we can look and see what kits we have.
I've still got the little 172 tanks that he sent me on the shelf, finished.
Oh, right, there we go. Brilliant.
So what are the costs involved with each one of those initial packs?
Okay, so if you need them, we will send you out a set of resources and tools. Because if you're brand new to model making, you don't have those things. You don't have clippers and glues and stuff, around. So we'll send you the basic set, but we don't send you rubbish. We send you a good set of clippers that have the right safety mark on them. We will send you glues that are, available on the high street, but are good modelers glues, like the Tamiya Extra Thin, for instance. We'll send you a set of sanders, good sanders. We'll send you like an how-to guide, basically made by Airfix, of how to make your model from scratch, and that starts with washing sprues, and then all the way down to using decal solution and things like that. We'll send you, if we've got it, we'll send you some decal solution, some paints, some washes. Basically everything you need really to start a model and build it, I guess. Unless of course you've got tools and stuff, then we won't send them. The costs involved, so because we buy it a brand new, I think for a full kit now it's about £37 per beneficiary per tool set, if you like. It's about that. The actual number changes all the time, so the costs of cutting mats and things go up and down. You wouldn't believe it's like stock market, honestly. But we got some really nice suppliers who provide us with glues and cutting mats and things like that at their cost. So that's nice. And I kind of spread that request and load across lots of different model shops and distributors, not focusing on just one. But it costs about 35 quid ish now for all the bits and pieces we send out, which is quite a significant amount of money. When you're talking about 20 or 15 to 20 beneficiaries a week, someone do the maths. That's a lot of cash. And then of course the cost of actually sending the parcel has just gone up too. So we have a deal with Parcel Force where it's just over £7 now. We can send a box anywhere in the UK, as long as it's up to a meter and it's not too heavy. Which is nice. They've helped us out a lot actually the last couple of years, since COVID. That was
Excellent. So if somebody wanted to volunteer for M4H, how would they go about getting in contact, and what would they need to do?
Okay, so they need to decide whether they've got the time and the dedication to do so, because it requires more than just saying I'm going to be a volunteer. It requires time. It requires a dedication of time, and you might need to kind of change the way that you empathize with people, perhaps, because we require volunteers to be good listeners. We require volunteers to put their own opinions and thoughts aside. And we also require them to be very empathetic towards mental health, which they usually be anyway. So you don't have to be a good modeler. In fact, you don't have to be a modeler to be a volunteer for Models for Heroes. You just have to be a decent human being. But to become a volunteer, you would go to modelsforheroes.org.uk, which is the website. And under support, there is a little thing called volunteer, because you are supporting us. So that's why it's in support. In there is a list of roles and guidelines for the volunteer role. It's pretty inclusive. There's a lot there. It talks about all things like that. There might be DBS checks. You might be asked to handle money, all that kind of thing. So have a look through that. If there's anything in there that you find not agreeable, then don't apply. There's an application form at the very, very bottom of that page. And you click that, and that takes you to another Google form, which is lovely. Fill that in. We need 2 character references from anyone who's not connected to M4H and not connected to you by family. We require, and then we require a short phone call with one of our directors. Make sure you say who you are. You are who you say you are. And that's it, really. That's it. It's a lot of time dedicated. And obviously, you don't dedicate as much time as you have. Obviously, some people dedicate all of their day to volunteering for M4H. Some people only do something every now and again. They'll just share what we have on Facebook, and they'll like a post occasionally. But they're available to collect donations if they needed to be. They're available to go to a show that's nearby to them if they need be. That's the thing, I guess. You want to wave the flag for Models for Heroes. That's the way you do it. It's become a volunteer.
Yeah. If people want to support M4H in other ways, how can they go about that?
All right. Well, like I just said, sharing our post with your family and friends, talking to people anywhen about Models for Heroes and what we do. Just when you talk to somebody, the word of mouth is pretty important when it comes to trusting organizations. So if someone's had a good experience and they know what Models for Heroes does and they think it could help someone else, then do tell them. Let them be aware of Models for Heroes and what we can do, because we can't help them if we don't know, right? Other ways they can support, share our stuff on Facebook as well, and Twitter. But there's lots of things. So we have an Amazon wish list, right? This is all available on our website under Donate, big green button. And we have an Amazon wish list that you can use. Buy us a couple of kits or a bit of glue or something. We are we're kind of eBay charity partners. So if you're selling something on eBay, maybe a model kit that you've made and you want to sell it off, you can set it so that a percentage of that goes directly to Models for Heroes. You can do that on the actual app. You can collect your flying hours from Airfix. On the side of Airfix boxes, there's a little, like a token thing. You can cut that out, send it to us, and we are club members, basically, for Airfix. And we get to ask for any kits that we want, really, within reason. We basically can convert all those flying hours into model kits for use with our beneficiaries. So, I'm trying to get hold of some Chinooks at the moment, so we need a lot. And every November at Scale Model World, we give them a big old bag of flying hours, which is fun. A couple of thousand usually a year. But that helps us and it helps them as well. So how else? So you can donate funds directly to our bank or PayPal. Details again are on the website. You could send us model kits too, as long as they are not started, not touched by glue or paint. Is our general rule. So if the kit has been, cut apart, cut off the sprue and fettled with and sniffed and enjoyed by a modeler, that's fine, as long as it hasn't actually been started. Then we're not interested, because somebody given a kit that somebody else couldn't finish, how they expect it to do it, so we have a special pile at M4H by the door for kits that we've had that are started. It's like a free for all. Anyone can have those. How else? Is there anything I've missed?
Donate kits.
Yes.
Donate and create.
Oh yeah. So when we go to museums, usually when we go to a museum and there's a model show or an event there, and we've been invited, we'll do a donate and create table, which is basically you sit and paint figures or build models with us. It's all free. We just ask for a little donation in the bucket. So I think the latest one we did, it was at Tank Museum for their one of their events, a mental health event called On Track. And people can sit down and paint stuff with us. We get donated lots of figures and things and paint. So come down, enjoy that. We do that all over the place. In fact, loads of places. Airfix, actually, they're make and take. They have a big bucket for Models for Heroes on their make and takes. So you don't have to pay, but you can donate money if you wish to. What else? Model kits is the bread and butter, though. That's the thing we need. All sorts of different types. No, there's no specifics. Anything that you haven't touched has been sat in your loft as loft insulation for too long. Bring it down, pop it in a box, or take it to a model show that we'll be at, or bring it along to your local model session if there is one.
Julian, one of our viewers, has just worked out that 800 beneficiaries means a spit shy of £30,000 bare minimum for the starter packs.
Yeah, I'd work that out. Yeah, absolutely. So I've moved off the page now, but if you go to Impact and Reports, you can see how much money we've raised over the last years. Everything's on Company's House. Financially, I think we report more than we're supposed to. We report according to the Charities Commission. So we have a bigger spread of stuff that we show where we spent the money. But £32,000 in what year was that? Can't tell. Between August 2022 and 2023. £32,000 was spent on model making, consumables, kits, dispatch, storage, and volunteer expenses. So if you are a volunteer and you have to drive somewhere, we will pay for your petrol. You just have to provide us where you were going, where you were going to. So that's best practice for volunteers. We're part of the NCVO, which is the National Council Voluntary Organisation. So one of those things is you support your volunteers so that they can support your beneficiaries.
So you basically don't take the mick.
No, and I'm always saying to people, bloody put your thing in. Put your claim in. You don't get a medal for not claiming, so put your claim in.
Cool. So I've got one final question from me, and then a request, and then we'll go on to audience questions, if that's okay. So this one's a little bit of a long one. So a lot of members of the veteran and blue light communities have had their lives, especially their mental health, turned around quite dramatically in some cases, and more than a few, including myself, openly admit that they probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you making that seemingly insignificant decision back in 2017. And having this strength and determination to turn that decision into M4H, the one we know and love today. So how does it feel knowing that there's so many families across the UK and beyond that only have their loved ones with them today because of you, your team, and what you've all achieved?
Good God. It's overwhelming, really. It's impossible to even put into words. how proud I am of what I've done, but also what everyone else has managed to do in terms of volunteering. I have a very good committee of 9 directors who steer me in the right direction and steer Models for Heroes in the right direction. They're really committed. I'm really committed to them. We have amazing volunteers who understand what we do, and we couldn't do anything at all without our volunteers.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels great that I've managed to help some people, even in just a little way. As much as any hobby, I guess, if you're into it, and it gives you some sort of distraction, and lets your brain go to somewhere happy for a little while. It's gonna de-stress you. And I'm also thankful for everyone who donates as well. I mean, I heard the amount of kits we sent out since the beginning, 11,000 kits plus.
Yeah.
When you look around the shelves at M4HQ, you see all the kits there. You remember that they've all been donated by somebody.
Yeah.
Who understands the effect of modeling can have on somebody, and how it improves their day. And I'm really thankful for them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny because a lot of people say it's like a model shop you have to buy anything from. But it's also when we have donors come in and they bring their wives in, they kind of all of a sudden they kind of get it as soon as they come in there. They go, oh, I see why you'd want to be doing this. This is fine, and trying to win the hearts and minds of the wives sometimes and the family that they should leave their husband or wife alone so that they can actually enjoy their hobby.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. We all need a bit of alone time sometimes.
Yes, we do. Yeah, and it's really, really important. Just not to be always in the spotlight, having to perform and be. Just leave someone alone for a couple of hours a week in front of a couple of kits, and they'll be happy.
Yeah. So finally, someone who is in a similar situation to what we've just mentioned, whether they be veteran or blue light, could be watching this right now or in the future. So what I'd like to invite you to do is to take a second just to speak to them directly about why they should reach out and get themselves referred to Models for Heroes.
Yeah. Okay. If you're if you're struggling, and you are concerned about asking for help, just remember that asking for help is part of looking after yourself. Admitting that you've got difficulties is difficult because there's a lot of shame involved. There's a lot of stiff upper lipness. There's a lot of feelings that you need to be able to cope. But to be able to cope and do the right thing, you need to ask for help, because there are people out here who want to help in whatever way they can. So, do get involved. Do get in contact. Go and see your GP. Ask for a referral for Models for Heroes. Fill in a self-referral. If it's not for you, it's not for you. Nothing's lost. A lot of people say, I don't want to get help because there are people worse off than me. Yeah, there are people worse off than you, but that does not mean that you can't get the help. There's a limited supply. If you are in a good state of mind and your mental health is solid, you will be able to help other people too that are worse than you.
Yeah.
Right? Which is important. But yeah, just bloody do it. Just, suck it up, bloody do it, and ask for some help.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how much it can change things around.
Yeah. You don't get a medal for struggling.
No.
Or do you? No, you don't. No. Not from us, anyway.
I know it's turned my life around anyway.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So what would you say to somebody then?
I would say to reach out. Don't be afraid. There's this whole thing about because you're a bloke or whatever, you got to tough it out, or You're a police officer, you got to suffer it out. You're a soldier, you got to suffer. It's a load of rubbish, right?
Dangerous.
At the end of the day, there's nothing more important than your mental health and your own safety. You can't help other people if you're struggling yourself. And in fact, you're in those sort of jobs, you're probably more likely to do harm if you're not, your mind's not on the job. So it's better to reach out. Just say, look, even if you don't say you've got a problem, just say, I want a bit of support. And you might just learn a new hobby and just plow along on your own, which is great. Which is how I started with it. And now I've ended up doing YouTube. But, but don't be afraid to reach out and talk to someone. You can end up talking to Malcom. We've had some great chats.
We have. I think that's what I would say. Is just reach out, see what happens. What's worst that can happen? I always talk about being triple locked as well with men. So men are taught to stand straight and take it on the chin, all that sort of thing. Being English, well, I am. We're taught to have a stiff upper lip, and say by Jove. And in the army, in the military, you're taught to cope and man up and be a team player. And doesn't encourage you to ask for help, So you're kind of triple locked in all those different ways, which is bullshit because it's not going to help you if you don't ask for help, and not look down on at all. In fact, if you do ask for help, you're taking control of your situation, aren't you?
Yeah.
You're actually saying, I don't have the tools with me here to do this.
Yeah.
I need to go and get the tools and get some advice.
Yeah.
So, if you didn't have the right socket set, you wouldn't just try and use your fingers to try and open your sockets up, would you? You'd go and buy a proper socket set. It's the same thing, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I always remember there was one time where I'd really struggled, and it was, I think you probably remember the time I'm on about, because I wrote about it in the SITREP.
Yeah.
And one of the best pieces of advice Eunice Death gave was, it's okay to cry, but don't cry on your own.
Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, we're all crying inside somehow. Life's tough. Life's hard.
Yeah,
it is really hard, and it's easier if we're all doing it together and we're admitting it's hard. So get in touch.
Yeah. So hopefully that's not been too painful for you, Malcom.
No, it's been fine. It's just been a normal chat, apart from we're not rolling dice in between.
Well, yeah. Actually, funny you should mention that. I did actually get some dice mats the other day.
Oh, very nice. Are they branded?
No, because I found that when I was rolling on my cutting mat, the dice were just skidding across the desk because it's too smooth.
Yeah.
So across the bottom, we've had the different contact details as well. There's also a really good documentary done about Models for Heroes, which is on the Facebook page, and it was posted on the 12th of January 2024. So if you scroll down to then, look for that date, you'll find a documentary. It's half hour long. It's really, really good.
Which one is that? Is it the
new one?
The new one, yeah. Yeah, that was fun. And that basically followed around for 6 months to every show I went to. And interviewed everybody. Yeah, it's good.
So we've got some audience questions.
Okay.
Gary Morris asks, where do you see Models for Heroes in 5 years' time?
Gary Morris asks. That's a really good question. So, Models for Heroes has a trouble with sustainability. In that, when I have my stroke, Gary, when I have my stroke, nobody's going to know where to look for emails. Nobody's going to know where the spreadsheets are. And I don't like that because it's a fallible system. Yeah. Because we only have volunteers, you only can ask people to do so much, and not dedicate as much time as I have. So we need to employ some people. We need employees, but we don't have the money to do that because everything we spend goes on what we do. So we have been trying to get grants lately, this year and year before, from different places to pay for the salary of people that can look after Models for Heroes. And we get a proper manager. We can get someone to recruit volunteers, someone to do fundraising, and keep an eye on that. And at the moment, we haven't got anyone.
Yeah.
So that would be something I would like to have in 5 years' time, to have employees of Models for Heroes who can carry it on in my demise, right? And it sounds a bit macabre, but it's true. I know when I've been ill, nothing happens.
Well, listening, because a lot of veterans organisations, they, especially ones that are shut down, what tends to happen is they lose funding and they fight to the last day. And then all of a sudden they just go, "Sorry, we can't do it. We're not opening tomorrow," and it sends lads into a spiral. Then.
Yeah. And then they're all still worried about GDPR and can't contact the veterans that they've let down. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And I don't want that. Fortunately, part of our governance requires us to have a year's worth of financials in reserve. So we've kept finances in reserve in case something like COVID comes along and all of a sudden there's no model shows to raise money for.
Yeah.
And we've still got beneficiaries to provide for, and we haven't got an income. So we've got a year in the bank, if you like. Basically, enough so that we can carry on in that time. But yeah, there's no sustainability currently, and it's something that needs to be fixed soon. So yeah, in 5 years' time, employees, Models for Heroes, and what I'd also like is to be able to run modeling sessions at the HQ.
Yeah.
Right. So you want a day out, come down to HQ, you grab a kit off the shelf, and by the end of the day, you've built it and you're out the door.
Yeah.
And we have some riotously good chats in between, and drink all the tea, and all the hobnobs we can. That would be great. That would be really, really good. But yeah, it would require getting even larger premises and somebody who's going to be there 9 to 5 as well.
Yeah.
So that's the 5-year plan.
Yeah. Funny you should mention hobnobs, because my moderator's she's paid in hobnobs.
Oh wow! Is that one hobnob per show?
She's getting 2 packs at Telford.
Oh, I see. 2 packs per year.
If she's good.
I don't know what the rate is for moderation.
Oh, she puts a lot of hard work in, bless her. I do appreciate it. Julian, I gave you a question from Julian before.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you want to give a quick answer to that.
Yeah. Can you remind me what it was?
The one about sprue goo and sprues.
Oh yeah. Okay. All sort of fundraising ideas are brilliant. But as long as they don't require us to do anything. If you want to go and fundraise for us, please do. Go and do the things. But we can only really do the things that we do. We don't have any resources to make stuff. But the trouble with it as well is, the sprue goo needs to be properly controlled chemically. You need to have safety procedures in place for making all these things. And I don't think anyone makes any sprue glue. Do they actually make it?
I don't know.
It's just kind of like a concoction people have.
I know it's probably a Kosh nightmare.
I wouldn't want to go. It's difficult enough sending out paints sometimes. Even storing paints. We have to store them in a certain way. Aerosols as well. And yes, it's a Kosh nightmare. But if there is any fundraising opportunity in it, then go ahead and fundraise. But we just don't have the time to branch out into other things, unfortunately.
So another question for Julian was, which is more important, creating a distraction activity via the modelling for the veterans and the Blue Light members, or the community it creates?
Ooh, which one is more important? That's a good one. I don't know which one's more important. Probably the community then. The community side of things was a nice consequence of something we hadn't planned on at all, and it has branched into loads of, like this, for instance. Your little community is branched off from M4H, which is awesome. I guess it's given you the confidence maybe to try something like that.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's important. I guess the distraction side of things is a good starter.
Yeah,
because it shows that you can be distracted by things that you do enjoy, right? And then from then on, you don't need me anymore. You go and do your own thing.
We do.
No, but I think once you know that, you can then take that and use that knowledge that you are able to be distracted from the bad stuff. So yeah, probably the community then, because that's long lasting, isn't it? And that's going to affect more people, and more people are going to be brought into it from, or heard about model spheres from lots of different places. So yeah, community.
I'd agree with that, because you got the likes of me, John Marley, and Gary Morris. We speak to each other pretty much every day.
Yeah,
if we're
exactly.
not doing live streams, we're on Discord.
Yeah, that's right. And you're affecting the people that are watching in a good way or a bad way, but you are influencing them as much as you can. You are promoting the cause. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah. Kieran from Pitts Kits has sent 3 questions for you. He says, does Malcolm see the M4H model being rolled out to other groups of beneficiaries from different backgrounds? So not the actual organization itself, but the model, the way of doing it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, sure. I mean, I have had a couple of meetings lately with people who run autism groups for adults, and they were asking what are the effects and benefits and things like that. So I said, go, set it up. We can't help you, but unfortunately, SEO are received the king's wage. but certainly I'm up for sharing the cause and how it helps. That's it can happen to any. It can be helped.
Yeah.
Hang on. What's the word? It's an open medicine for anyone. Just the M4H happens to be who it is for.
Yeah. Well, I was watching an interview with Pete Waterman this morning before we came on here, and that's one of the things he was saying, because where he's got his train set and his train club, he next door there's a school for kids that have got severe mental illness and things, and they encourage the kids to take part in the club. They do lessons and teach them how to do model making and how to set up the trains and stuff, and the kids love it. And it's actually calmed the behavior down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just something that you enjoy and you want to put time into. It is the key. It's not for everyone. Obviously, not everybody likes model making, but if you do, get involved. That's the research that we did. We got involved with is we found that if you are engaged in model making, it will improve your mood. Yeah. So if we send you a load of models and you're not interested, it's not just going to sit there on a shelf. Nothing's going to happen. You have to get engaged with it, and then it will help you.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the other things he was saying, that when he's had really tough times in his life, because obviously he does a lot of high pressure stuff. He said he just locks himself in his train room and he can't think of anything else because he's concentrating on making his trains or diorama or things like that.
Yeah, well, those trains can't be late.
Yeah, exactly. But he can't think of anything else because he's trying to figure out how to do details and things all the time.
Yeah.
So, second question from Kieran is, how do local groups get set up, and if there isn't one in your area?
Well, there's not one in your area because they haven't got a volunteer to run it. Yeah. Or a volunteer hasn't come forward with the time to be able to run it. So we don't target areas and say, right, who we got here in this area. What we do is we wait until a volunteer comes forward and says, I've got some time to give to set up a session. And we'll say, great. And then they'll just need to find a venue. We support the volunteers with resources and tools and things like that. But finding a venue is down to the volunteer.
Yeah.
Because we haven't got time to do it,
Well, you haven't got the local knowledge either, have you? Really?
No, exactly. So if you go along to your local RBL, or you will go to your local community centre in a supermarket, Tesco's usually have one, Waitrose have them as well, and say, can I have your place for free for a couple of hours? 3 hours if possible, and then you've got yourself a venue. And then you get yourself as a volunteer, so you can get the insurance and our knowledge and all that sort of thing. Then we can support you. There. But we don't target places anymore. It just doesn't work. Sometimes some sessions we've set up somewhere nobody's interested at all. It's just the way it is.
Final one from Kieran, a modelling one. What's Malcolm's greatest save, i.e. recovering from a narrowly avoided mistake or catastrophe?
Oh, I'm talking about modelling, right?
Yeah. Not life.
Gosh, what's my greatest save? It's probably covering something up with the tarp. I expect.
Yes, that's legendary, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't remember what it was. I think it's the same as everyone else. You put your fingerprint on something you've just about finished. If it's armor, you can stick a tarp on it. Yeah. You can hide it under a tarp. And we did a tarp build, didn't we? I don't know if you got involved in a tarp build where everyone had to build something with a tarp on it on purpose.
I didn't get involved with it, but what I did is I looked at the techniques and I used them to make, because I made that one where I called it Courage and Compassion, where it's the tower with with soldiers fighting and nurses and doctors and things.
Oh, okay.
And one of the soldiers is draping a flag over a coffin, so I use it to do that.
There you go. So many different ways of making tarps, and that was what the kind of the group build was for, wasn't it? To explore all the different ways. We had a display of tarps at Scale Model World last year, which is just insane. But I can't think of anything specific, but a tarp will cover all ills, unless it's an aircraft.
Yeah,
I think that's what you can do about that. Just sand it out and do it
again. We've got a question from Mr. John Mayfield. Ask Malcolm about the crossbow he built yesterday.
Do I have it here? Yeah, I do. Hang on. Okay, so yesterday was the volunteer day, Models for Heroes. So all the volunteers were invited down to a place in Warminster called Factorum, which is a wargaming mecca, let's say.
Yeah.
And they give basically the run of the place for the day. And there's a company nearby Factorum called Bunker Miniatures, and they're offering 10% off to Models for Heroes volunteers and beneficiaries for any 3D printed needs. But they sent me a couple of kits to make, which one of them was a Raptor that I made, and it comes in a flat sprue, and they put all the bits and pieces together.
Cool.
There's a Jeep as well, which is at the bottom of this bag, and I can't quite see it at the moment. But also a crossbow.
Oh yeah.
All right. Now, so I put the crossbow together. There's a trigger mechanism at the back here. This part is just like a working hinge. It's there's a lot of tension in there if you pull that back, but there's also a lot of power in that too. So I was sitting. Once I'd finished it, I wanted to test it, so I set it up, pulled it back, put the little plastic arrow in, and I said, I had my glasses on. I said, I'm firing this crossbow. Beware! And I fired it, bing, and this arrow went about 30 feet across the room and hit one of our other directors' legs. And that was 3D printed. So imagine what you could do, you know?
Yeah.
Crazy. It was really good. So there we go. That's the crossbow that I made yesterday.
Jim Alscott, who's one of our viewers, says, question for Malcolm, who is buried in Grant's tomb?
Who's buried in Grant's tomb?
He loves his history.
Grant?
Oh, I have no idea, mate. Yeah, it's one you could look into.
I don't know who Grant is.
Yeah.
What
I think you mean General Grant.
I don't know.
From the American Revolution, American Civil War.
I know nothing about history.
Yeah. Well, that's probably why you keep asking me to help you with it. Graham says, do you have any local branches or contacts around the UK?
Yes. What specifically does he need?
I think it's just a general question. I think he means rather not just like drop-in centres. I mean, like charity shops or something like
that. No, we don't have any publicly accessible places. I mean, you can make an appointment, come to see us at the HQ in Newbury, which is just off the M4 near Reading, if you wanted to. But if you sign up to the website, again, if you sign up to the website, you can see all the locations that we exist at.
Yeah.
There's a map on there that you can see. I'm just going to bring it up, but there's 50, 60 locations on there that you can see. And if you wanted to go along to one of those, just there's their contact details on the each pin. Click on the pin where you want to go, and then there's an email address, and you just email the person who runs it and say I'm turning up on Wednesday night. You know, so they know. Yeah, just head along. Or is he asking to donate stuff?
Oh, it's not in the question, but I think we've probably answered that anyway. So
okay,
if that is the case, June says, is Malcolm interested in the history of the real aircraft as well as modelling them?
Yeah, I'm not interested in history so much as a hobby. Okay, I'm not very good at reading. I'm not really good at doing research. I like the stories that are involved in vehicles and the people that are involved in why we like these vehicles. And obviously I always have a bugbear with Airfixes because they never put pilots in their aircraft anymore, but they have a wheels up option. Now what? I don't get it. The pilot is the most important thing in that aircraft. So why aren't they not making the pilot? I've talked about this many times, but they say it's cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in the history, I suppose, but not that much. I just like cool vehicles.
Yeah.
Although I was really interested the Battle of Graveney Marsh. You ever heard of that before?
I think I've heard you mention it.
Yeah, so a Ju-88 crashed. It's in Kent, this marsh bit by the river, and basically it was the last time that British people had been shot at by another nation on British soil. The last recorded time, because the Germans crash landed, they were okay mostly, but they're using their weapons that they had on the Ju-88 to destroy their bombing site, and the local chaps who were billeted in the pub thought they were under fire, so they returned fire. It all ended happily, and everyone had a pint in their pub. But yeah, it's quite a fun little story.
Hobby Time says, is there a scale modelling group at DMRC?
Defence Medical Rehabilitation Centre. Yes. Well, no, there is an actual group. So the DMRC. Is it DMRC? Yeah. So Defence Medical and Rehabilitation Centre. That's up in Loughborough Way. That used to be Headley Court.
Yeah.
And then they built a new place and moved up there. But there's not a modelling session, but we do provide them in their light activities room with model kits. We also provided them with remote control kits as well.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was last year. They wanted to do they were starting to run out of model kits basically, and they wanted to kind of re-establish a connection with Models Vero. So I went up there and brought them some stuff that they wanted to do outdoor pursuits with modeling, and the only thing I could think of was remote control. So we bought them some crawler RC, you know, the slow moving Jeeps.
Yeah.
Because they have these terrain in their foyer that's all is made to be difficult to walk across.
Yeah.
So they'll have cobbles, they'll have uneven path stones, they'll have something sort of shiny, you know. And so when you're walking around and doing your rehabilitation with your leg on your knee or loss of leg or whatever, you can test yourself on these little assault courses. But how fun is it to drive a remote control Jeep across them anyway? But what they do is they drive a Jeep across, and then they're expected to walk across by following the Jeep. Which of course isn't. That's not rehab, right? That's not hard. That's not exercise. That's I'm just walking across following my little remote control car.
Yeah,
it makes it slightly different. And they also the instructors or the nurses or the rehab staff,
physios.
Yeah, the physios. They'll take a control of one of the trucks as well, and they'll have races, stuff like that, with the guys in there and the girls in there. And one of the chaps wrote me an email saying the other day he was out with the remote control car with a patient, and the patient was pretty good at it, you know, and they had loss of they had nerve damage in their hand and in their other hand from an explosion, IED I think it was, and they said that they had adapted the controller with Lego to make it so they could drive it much easier. Anyway, the staff member's car rolled over. Okay, so the chap who was disabled had difficulty. He used his car to push upright the staff member's car, and it was then that the patient realized that by using the cars, they were on the same ability level. They were on a level playing field. And it didn't matter that he had very little use of his fingers. He was still able to control this car to save the other guy's car from having to walk across and pick it up and put it back. But that was a significant mental leap for him. It was half the battle, I guess, isn't it? These sort of things. So no, answer to your question, we don't have a modelling session there. I think I don't know what the nearest one is, but we certainly do support them with their resources.
Brian is the final question, by the way. Brian says, do you ever get donated really expensive models? If so, do you auction them to buy more less expensive models or give it to someone to make?
I always want to give them away. Always. However, we get all sorts of stuff donated, all sorts of things. Sometimes all different reasons as well. Legacy donations are quite heart-wrenching sometimes because the family either didn't know that their granddad had so many model kits, or they're sad to find out that the actual value of their kits they've made is almost zero. But yes, we do. We get a lot of expensive kits in, and if they're donated for a reason, in that they are donated to be given to a beneficiary to make them feel a bit better about themselves and life and everything else, then we will do so. We will honour that because we are an organization with a governance, and that governance has to be fulfilled with every donation that we get.
Yeah.
As a caveat to that, if that kit is sat in our storage or our HQ for over a year and nobody has wanted it, no one's requested it, we haven't found anyone who's suitable to give it away, we are just paying for the storage of that kit, which I think is a waste of money.
Yeah.
A waste of charitable money. So we will start to consider, how can we use this kit better? You know, maybe give it to an organization that can do it as part of an activity, right?
Yeah.
Right. Or we'll have suddenly a beneficiary turn up who does require that particular kit or has wanted it, and we will send it to them. But yes, there have been times where we had a large donation of model soldiers, and they were metal. Nobody's wanted metal soldiers. I think one person ever has wanted metal soldiers as part of their hobby. So we had all these. We just put them on eBay in the end, and we made a significant amount of funds that would allow us to send, obviously, to buy more kits and survive for longer. But we always try to honor the reason that they've been donated.
Yeah,
you know, definitely.
Excellent.
That's really important. Yeah.
Excellent. Oh, I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
That's right. That's a shame it's over.
Yeah. Well, do you want to do some modelling with them?
Yes, please.
Should we let them in?
Let them in. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to switch cameras. I'm just going to take a very quick comfort break.
Yep. No problems.
All right.
See you in a bit. So, guys, I've put the StreamYard link in the chat. If you want to come and do some modelling with Malcom for a bit, you're more than welcome to join us. I did notice some comments earlier about something that was said. It was just mentioned in passing because he got an award at the time, and it was quite an important award, not only for Malcom, but for M4H. And it was a Prime Minister's award, so you couldn't really not mention it. It's nothing to do with the politics or anything that either of us believe in. So, yeah. It's been good seeing how much chat there's been. We've still got 23 people watching. Yeah. So how does everyone think the interview's gone then? Oh, sorry, I need to blow my nose. So yeah, how does everyone think the interview's gone? Have they enjoyed it? Or have you all enjoyed it? Okay. Katie says, I need you at 1 p.m, Mike. Well, okay, I mean, you have to come in and tell me what it was, so what you need me for. So, thank you, John. I appreciate that, dude. Hope it's made a nice change from the usual live streams. I'll read these out again when Malcom comes back. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it, mate. We have got a rather special little community going, haven't we? It's lovely. Thank you very much, Kieran. Really appreciate it, mate. Yeah. So Malcom should be back in a minute. Ow. 2 seconds. My wife's just come in. Thank you very much. I just got back. We'll have to catch up later. Kara here now. Thank you very much, Julian. Thank you very much, Gary. Really appreciate it, mate. Looking forward to Monday's stream as well with you. Thank you very much, Kerry. Just going through some of the comments, Malcolm.
Okay, cool.
So nobody's come up yet. Like I said, the link is there. If you want to come in, you're more than welcome to do some modeling with Malcolm. I asked the chat how they think the interview's gone and if they've enjoyed it.
Good.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Mr. Marley said it's been very professional, Mikey. Thank you very much, buddy.
I'm just going to switch microphones and then cameras so I can move over to the bench.
No problems, bud.
You hear me all right?
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Good. Oh, I'm glad. Glad it's been good entertainment.
Yeah.
And people have got the opportunity to ask questions and things like that, because it's, usually we're talking about other things usually, and not talking about model theories, but actually talking about the people. But it's an incredible cause that helps a lot of people in lots of different ways, and it's just a really simple thing, as you know, it's a simple thing. Here's some model kits. Let's go and have some fun with them. Let's go and make some Spitfires.
Yeah. Ian Ellison says, "Thanks for the interview. I feel very emotional and proud of this here community."
Too right. Yeah. Yeah.
We have got a lovely bunch in this group, to be fair.
Yeah.
Kieran says, "Really great interview. Thank you, buddy." Gary Evans says, "Really enjoyed it, Mikey. Good questions and revealed a lot about M4H and what it stands for." Yes.
Hello, Gary. Yeah, well, yes, Gary's supposed to be getting himself down to HQ to do a similar thing, hopefully soon.
That should be good.
Yeah.
So he comes on my lives on a Monday, doesn't he, now, as well?
Cool.
On the viewers panel.
Excellent.
Junior said he'll be back soon. Kerry Morris, who is Gary Morris's daughter, says doing great.
Cool.
Graham says, very informative. Nice to know a bit of the background from the horse's mouth, so to speak.
It's all about you, right?
You call me a horse?
I'm no horse. Why the long face, Mikey?
It's the beard, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
Duke says, I've been listening while working on some 8th Army figures. I've really been interested in the journey that Malcolm has taken. Great chat, Mikey. Well done. Thank you, buddy.
Oh, cool.
See? It's not just about M4H, it's about you as well, Malcolm.
Yeah.
Penny's Pit Stop, who is the one I was saying wanted to do modeling session with you.
Yep.
Said, I only caught it from 12 as sleeping for work, but it was a great interview. Nice to see Malcolm on everyday channels. Shame I can't build with him. It'd be an honor.
Oh, wow. That's very kind. Good.
Yeah.
Nice name, by the way, Penny.
Yeah, she's got a great YouTube channel.
Ah.
And Mr. Jim Alscott's come in.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Malcolm.
Hello. Hello. I mean, the Jim that's on everything.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm what you call the live chat junkie.
is the go-to staple.
Well, I find it a great pleasure. Mikey's been kind enough to invite people in, and I'm privileged to take part in his regular Bearded Veteran Creates shows, a variety of them throughout the week, and it's an honor and privilege to talk to you, sir. And just glad to be here. I'm at my bench too, working on my Tiger One. Got my tracks, working on the nice vinyl figures that Dragon provides, which is not something I really enjoy working with, but what the hell, we're modelers, right? So, but yeah, wonderful interview. And Mikey, you've got a future as a host.
Yes, good question.
Yeah, no, you kept the conversation going. Your questions were on time. There wasn't any uncomfortable pauses or lags or anything like that. For doing it on the go, good stuff.
I didn't do it on the go. I sat up until 2:30 the other morning writing the questions.
Well, nonetheless, carrying it out live is a different story.
Yeah.
It's like people tell me, "Oh, Jim, you're so smart. You should go on Jeopardy." Yeah, well, it's a different thing when you're on television. The cameras are on you, and you got that buzzer in your hand. Are you ready to respond in time?
Yeah. So one of the things I found was that you can't just ask random questions in random orders. You got to sort of do it in a logical order that keeps it flowing, so you're not jumping around all the time.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. Callum from Columbus Models is in as well now.
Hello.
I'll say this as clearly as I can. I'm going to say this as clearly as I can, Mikey. Good morning, Callum. It's not Camel. Oh, Mikey's muted. He's talking to his wife or something. But anyway, yes, I saw your video on the Sopwith Camel. Nice.
Oh, thanks. That's quite an old one. And just want to say, hey, Malcolm, how's it going?
Hey, buddy. I'm good. Thank you. I'm well. Nice to see you. Nice to chat to you. I listen to the podcast quite a bit now and again.
Do you? Oh, dear.
Yeah. Just to see how not to do it,
Yeah, we are a prime example.
All good fun.
Oh, tell you what I was going to say to you, Callum. I thought of it yesterday. You have a problem with one of your fellow presenters and their language and having to edit as much as possible for YouTube.
Yeah.
Make a 30-second intro, because once it gets past the 30 seconds, you can say what you want.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. That I mean, usually on a standard episode, I don't let them talk for a while. But well, yeah, but yeah, for the live streams, not a bad idea.
Yeah, because you can't really edit that until afterwards.
Yeah, no, and what's been said is, what gets said is set in stone, really.
Yeah.
Do you is it swearing that you're worried about, or content?
Swearing. Well,
Right.
no, content as well.
Right.
There are a few stories and jokes from Garrison that is on our Patreon only, because YouTube would not allow it. But no, mainly swearing, because I mean, all five of us swear quite a bit because we just don't care too much. But Garrison is an ex-US Marine, so trying to get him to clean up language is just I tried that fight and I lost.
Well, do you set your YouTube videos to be not for kids or not made for kids?
Yes, all the time.
So you shouldn't have a problem with swearing then.
Yeah. There's one thing I always make sure is definitely not aimed towards kids, because we would get in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's right. But I think if you click not made for kids, then if a child watches it and, "Damn, mummy, what are they saying? Why are they saying these words?" Then you have a caveat to say, well, it's set not for kids and you shouldn't be watching it.
Plausible deniability, my favorite.
Something like that, yeah. And they have to have a YouTube account and proof that they are, well, not proof, but said that they are over 18. So.
Excuse me if I'm clearing my throat too loudly. I've got a chronic cough that's not going away.
If you're speaking to us, Mikey, you've muted your mic.
There you go. So we've still got one more space on the panel. So if anyone wants to come up, even if you don't want to do some modelling, you just want to say hello to Malcolm and thank him for everything he's done for us, then you're more than welcome. Oh, and Callum's just jumped out. I've scared him off.
Oh, he's back.
We'll let him back in.
Maybe he had to swear.
Sorry. Hit the wrong button on the keyboard and refresh to the web page.
Is it the button with the sheep in? You were just drawn to it.
Again with the sheep.
Have you seen Callum's profile picture on Facebook, Malcolm?
No.
It's literally him hugging a sheep.
Oh, hugging.
It was
sheep. Listen.
Yeah,
He's
it's
got his
when,
Velcro mittens on,
friends
and
in.
he's giving it a massive hug.
It's the only way you can transport them around. Sheep are weird in the fact that, like, when they're on all fours, they will jump, kick. Like, I almost got a kick in the knackers by one and missed by inches. They're very strong at kicking. I will give it that. So when they're on all fours, they will fight and jump around and all that. The minute you pick them up off the ground and put them vertical, they just freeze. They kind of sat there and went, all right, now what? It's weird.
Yeah.
The minute they go vertical, they just stop.
Yeah. Like a different dimension for a sheep, isn't it? So it's something they're not used to.
Yeah. They just get very confused. And then the minute you put them back down again, they'd start fighting again.
Yeah. You know.
I can move my microphone now. There you go. So, Callum's working on a ship at the minute, I believe. Right, Callum?
Yep.
The Shiratsuyu Destroyer.
Sorry, go on, Modders.
So currently, that's how the diorama is looking so far.
Ooh.
Excellent.
Coming together nicely.
Yeah.
What's it on? What's the base?
Picture frame.
No, is it a picture of something, or are you going to put water in there?
It's going to be all water effect up and, well, half water, half wharf, dockyard type thing.
Okay, that's cool.
But yeah, I've just been doing stuff like doing insane stuff like painting up a 1 to 700 Dave float plane fully painted up red and white. I can barely see it myself.
The reason I ask is one of the things I've seen recently is people doing is mounting their vehicles on a picture frame, but putting a picture in there that is relevant to the vehicle. So a map of somewhere that you're trying to depict, or a photograph of the vehicle from a certain angle or something. And that's usually been quite a good way of showing it off,
Yeah, there's one of our Patreons, Paul Gallagher, guy in Singapore. He makes aircraft, and what he'll do is, instead of having it mounted, horizontally like this, he'll have a painting, and I'm pretty sure he does the painting himself. He'll do a painting of a scenery in the background, and then mount it on the wall, and the aircraft will be on a wire, so it looks like it's coming out of the painting.
Oh, that's cool.
It's ridiculously good.
Yeah, I've spoken to Paul before. He's a listener of our podcast too. I know him.
Yeah, you're a really nice guy.
He is. Thoroughly good gent.
Yeah, that's one thing we didn't touch on, Malcolm, is your podcast that you do with Skippins.
Yeah, we didn't. That's right. I thought you wanted to talk about proper stuff. And
well, we come to the conclusion the other week that Jim looks like Skippins. He's like the Skippins American cousin.
Yeah, we are the. I think we're each other's doppelganger.
Yeah.
Blimey, yes, you're right. He does.
Here, I'll
Skippins American
do a
cousin.
mug right now. There we are.
Gosh, yeah.
Yep.
Jim, I'm so sorry.
Hey, I feel sorry for Mr. Skiffins. I don't know about the rest of the audience. But that's remarkable. I mean, remove the glasses and suddenly,
Yeah.
No, Mr. Skiffins is down the hall. I'm Mr. Alterdead. Yes, my British cousin.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, the Germans and the British were very close in the 19th century, so maybe somewhere my family, both sides of which are from Germany, maybe somehow they got mixed with some British, some English blood somewhere, and that's where we came from.
Could do. Yeah. Or just another bold person.
Yeah, right. Yes, I'm going to go with the latter. Blimey.
What are you making, Jim?
I am working on a Dragon Models Tiger 1. There it is. I've been posting pics of it in the Discord. Mikey's and also Callum's Discord, and yeah, I'm moving through it. I give myself a bit of a conundrum though. I was supposed to age the tracks with AK burnishing fluid, rust them, age them because they're metal, and I don't know what I was thinking, but I painted them. So I'm not sure whether I want to strip the paint or whether the burnishing fluid will do it for me. But I might just paint these things like a metal color and be done with it. But the burnishing fluid is great. I love that stuff. It really ages it.
What is it? What is it made of?
Well, it's this is the product. This is the example I have. Let me get it in there so you can see. It's AK brand, but there's other kinds. You can also find it in model railroading. A lot has changed because of, at least here in America, because of chemical content. A lot of things have had to be eliminated because there were some corrosive chemicals that people were pouring down drains in their, slop sink or their bathroom sink, and it was going into the sewerway. So here in America, anyway, the EPA has clamped down on products like this. But I guess what they did is they came up with something that is palatable enough to use and sell to the public, because for a while these weren't available on the shelf. But what it does is essentially it just ages it. It just creates, matter of fact, here, I've got an example. I don't know if you can see this. Probably not. I can, well, you can't see it if I drop it. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's very hard to tell here. I could post a photo of it on the Discord, but it just ages the metal. It roughs it up. It gives it that rusted, pitted look. And the longer you leave it in there, the darker it gets. It's some pretty strong stuff, and it's definitely meant to be handled safely, with gloves, and very careful about, what you do with it afterwards and things like that. But it does work. And like I said, I painted the tracks. Here they are. Here's one set of it. They're Fruel model tracks. And I put Tamiya lacquer primer on them. And I mean, I suppose if I put it in there, I might be able to dip it in the fluid and it'll strip the paint off. But at this point, I'm not sure. So it might be easier just for me to paint them as is and move on.
Right. So it's essentially accelerating the natural aging process of that metal.
Right. Yeah. Because it's the Fruel tracks are made of white metal, and so which is very soft and very, very easily bent and breakable. But I guess there's something in the chemical compound where they work together. I mean, this stuff is like it's also you find it in the railroad section of hobby shops too, for aging wood objects, fences and things like that for model railroad layouts. But yep, that's what I'm working on. I've also been working on a Grant tank that I pulled off the shelf of Doom, a tack-on model. It's almost complete. Looking for track links for it. I buggered up the original kit supply track links. And so I've been weathering that, and I've been posting pictures of that on Mikey's, well, I think on both Discord. So it's just easier that way than trying to share in this computer. I don't have a overhead camera or anything.
What was that about Grant's tomb then?
Oh, well, okay. I put an explanation in the chat later because I honestly didn't think Mikey would ask it. It's the American in me coming out. That was an old joke from way back when, which I guess is revealing my age, but nonetheless, it was always a joke amongst Americans. Like for instance, on one of the old game shows I watched when I was a kid, if the contestant lost the prize, for $10, sir, who is buried in Grant's tomb? And that's the joke is the question, because Grant, Ulysses S. Grant, former general and U.S. president, is buried there. So it wasn't meant to be a serious question. It's my wise guy humor coming out. And
okay.
It often gets me into trouble. Yes, it gets me into trouble sometimes. So.
Got it. I didn't know that. Well, there we go. We learned something new.
We always have little educational moments on these live streams.
Oh, I love it. Great.
Yep.
History is a wonderful subject to talk about. What I listening to the interview. What got me into model making as a boy was first war films, Sink the Bismarck, Tora. They had great models in them, awesome models. And then reading history books, which was, as a 8, 9, 10-year-old boy, it was more like pictorial history of World War I or World War II from my school library. But nonetheless, that's what started me into model making, because I wanted to start making models of all these neato objects I saw in these books.
Yeah.
Wow. We're at the 2-hour mark already, Mikey.
Yeah. I'm going to try and give it 15 minutes because Kay wants to go up to town.
Okay.
For those that haven't been able to come on today, Malcolm, that wanted to do some Malcolm with you, model making with you, would you be able to do like a little session on Discord at some time?
Yep. Let's just let me know. We'll work out a date. That's good.
Yeah.
Sunday nights, we're not busy, are we? Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, awesome.
Might be difficult in the run up to Board Scale Model World to find some time. I'm really busy at the moment with my wife's teaching, so she's October is a busy time. She's teaching all the time, and then November comes along, and it's Bugle Call, Scale Model World, it's Warfare, it's the Oval. There's lots of modeling events happening, so usually quite busy in the weekends. But we'll schedule something in maybe.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, if people want to join Friends and Models for Heroes, they'll probably see me on a Saturday.
Well, yeah. You're in there most Saturdays.
Most, yeah. I try to be. I don't think I'll be there as much tomorrow. But I try to be as much as I can.
Julian's just said, I don't need my aging process artificially accelerated. It seems to be doing quite well on its own.
Good old Julian. He's got a great sense of humor.
That's funny.
I guess that's how it's supposed to be. Anyone built a dragon kit? I think I've asked this question before.
Anyone? Yeah, I'm sure we have.
I mean, in the chat. Yeah. It's an experience. I love them and I hate them.
It's an experience I've yet to enjoy.
They like to put extra parts in, don't they?
I think
yeah,
like that. The ones that are a bit challenging because I think it's good to have kits like that though, because otherwise you get bored if you're doing kits that you can just build without thinking about all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I like to do is when I get involved with the dragon kit is I like to find something simple afterwards, kind of take a breath and just have fun with the model. That's why I wound up building that Achilles, that to me an M10 Achilles, which went together beautifully. That was preceded by a Dragon model Puma, which was a little bit of a hassle for me. It didn't go quite as well as I wanted, but I just had to exhale and build something easy. Not so much easy as it is enjoyable. Let me put it that way. To me, a kit still, require the modeler to pay attention and follow instructions, but they aid the modeler in making it a pleasant experience to build the kit.
Yeah. So what are you working on, Malcolm?
Bolt action figures.
Ooh.
Well, it's my go-to. But I'm actually working on that submarine thing, but I put it aside for now because it requires a bit of concentration and a bit of airbrushing and stuff, and it's not a very social model to build. So I'm building a little submarine on the side, but these are my Bolt action figures. It's a little war game. It's like Warhammer, but for grown-ups. It's based on World War II.
Yeah, that lets me out.
It's based on World War II. Lots of different nations, and they all have weapons and things like that, exactly as they did in World War II. And yeah, you roll some dice and you see if they have fired their weapons successfully and whether they have hit the the baddies or whoever you're fighting.
I've seen them in a local bricks and mortar, but I've never actually played it.
No, I've never played it either. But I like I do want to one day. But I like collecting the army because this is the British Airborne, so I'm trying to collect all the army, the British Army stuff that they do.
I think that's the thing with them is even if you're not a gamer, they're collectible, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They're quite fun to make. It's quite fun doing a bit of research now and again on the right weapons and who should have the right machine guns and which webbing they had and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
John Marley says, "Is that a mud product, Malcolm?"
Yes, it's really good for your skin, as you can see. This one is the Terrain's Desert Sand by AK. I also have there's two that I bought. The other one I have used previously, which I might have seen, is the black one, which is the tarmac one. I used a lot of this on the excavator that I made, the bulldozer.
D9.
Sorry, yeah, the D9R. Yeah, and there's this stuff, and this stuff's great. This just goes on like butter, and then dries after 24 hours and looks like asphalt. And this stuff too. It dries and looks like sand.
Yeah, what I found with the sand one though is it's a bit too light in colour.
Oh well, yeah, you can paint it,
yeah, I found
but
you spray it with a thin coat of
the texture's good.
I found that if you spray it with a thin coat of UK Desert Pink, it looks about right.
Okay.
Oh really? Okay, I'll
sense.
remember that. I've got some of that color. Oh, you're talking about World War II Desert Pink or modern?
Just normal UK Desert Pink.
Okay.
Well, these are going to be
because it just adds a little bit more brown to it. Without making it too dark.
Yeah. Okay. Very good, sir.
I used the Vallejo one.
Yeah, I got to give those things a try. I'm so old school. I got celluclay and plaster of Paris and stuff like that, and it's infinitely a little bit more affordable. But on the other hand, it'd be nice just to try the product to see how it works, and it's not all that big of an investment.
Well, I've had these bottles for years. These pots for years. You don't use. I mean, I wouldn't use them on a railway layout or something.
Right.
But on a little base like this, it's good. The texture is bang on for sand. I mean, they're going to be dark British mud clay eventually.
Okay.
The texture on that is nice. Really fine.
Yeah, I first saw him used. Well, maybe not the first time, but first one I remember is Uncle Night Shift, Martin Kovac.
Mm-hmm. I
I've
don't
got
want
the-
him. He sold his soul to be good at modelling. I think that's cheap.
Yeah, he's half my age too. I think he's 30, maybe.
God.
Yeah, I know.
John Marley says this has been really good. Cheers, everyone. No problems, John.
Bye, John.
Okay, see you, John.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah, I've got the. Sorry, what are you gonna say, Malcolm?
You should one day interview John Marley about his model making charity in Australia.
Yes, I should, because he's starting one off, isn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
I may just do that. I could
You
start making
should.
it a regular feature if I have enough people to interview.
Sure.
Well, even if you don't have enough, just do it anyway.
Yeah. I've quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing
Hey, Mikey, doing an interview is not that nerve-wracking.
It is, because I've never done one before. And I didn't want to make models for heroes look bad.
That's up to
Well,
me, mate.
you had a very successful first time out then, mate.
Thank you, buddy. Julian says, Duke and Malcolm, do either of you watch Miniature Realms and or Gavin Booth, both talented painters of miniatures?
Don't know. I don't. I haven't heard of them. Only miniature painter I really watch on YouTube is Dr. Faust, American chap. He is he's awesome. He did a 6-part series on painting this particular model, and it inspired me to go out and buy it and paint it the same way that he did.
Yeah.
This is the Reaper Miniatures Ogre. And it's quite fun. It's got liver spots and stuff on him.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nasty old chap.
he's no boy. But yeah, Dr. Faust I watched, but I haven't heard the other ones. And there's a couple of others that Mikey's shown me to watch about pouring resin and stuff, aren't they? What are the name now? Boily?
Oh, north of the border.
Oh, is that it? Yeah.
Oh, I love that guy. I watch it literally every time I go to my family's place for dinner on a Sunday. We watch him after because we all like him.
I gotta say that
dirty things.
I gotta say that Dr. Faust has a little H.G. Wells to it almost. You know, the island of Dr. Faust.
One of the comments that was in before Penny's Pit Stop, she makes she's doing series miniatures and she does the part builds like the Agora Zero that we've got and things.
Yeah.
So she's doing the 132 Lancaster. She's doing, I think it's a London bus and a RoboCop figure.
Ah, the RoboCop figure, yes.
But she's also doing figure painting as well on there, which is nice. So we're coming up to the 2 hour 15 minutes. So we're going to have to knock it on the head.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'll get in trouble. So it's such a short modelling session, but I didn't expect for the interview to go quite so well that it would last so long.
Expect
I realised we did nearly 2 hours for the interview, Malcolm.
Sorry?
We did nearly 2 hours for the interview.
Yeah, crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well done, mate. Thank you. Thank you for highlighting Models for Heroes, and thanks for putting the time in to create the content for us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, buddy.
No worries.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you, Malcolm. Nice to. I'm always out there on Sundays, but be able to talk to you.
Oh yeah, I can only apologise for what happens on Sunday morning.
Well, this last one was a little unusual with one of your Spur False getting quite specific about things. Kind of fumbled our way through that one.
We got through it. Yeah, we got
Yeah,
through
we did. Yes, but I thoroughly enjoy it. Love it. Look forward
Good.
to it every Sunday.
Good.
Yeah, and just want to say, Malcolm, I will be participating in the 48 and 48 again on the live streams. I've already put my name down for that, so because I did this year, and I'm going to be doing next year, and
well
as many years as you'll have me.
Oh, good. Have you put yourselves down to do some hosting as well?
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. That'd be cool.
Well done.
Yeah, so we're going to shut it down now. But if Malcolm, if you want to stay on with the guys and do some modelling, you're more than welcome in the back room. So because it'll stay running until the last person leaves anyway. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. So it's been a great day. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much, guys.
Well, thank you for having me again, Mikey. As always, a privilege.
I'll be back on Monday at 2 p.m. with John Marley and Gary Evans. I'll be doing the viewers panel, which is always good fun. So yeah, see you next week. Malcolm, you've got your live show on Sunday, haven't you?
Sunday morning, 11 o'clock, Waddles for Heroes YouTube channel.
Yes, the chaos.
5 a.m. my time.
Yeah. All right. See you all next week, guys.
See ya.
Wait.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.